The Jade Rabbit. The internship process is changed around. Instead of the usual week-long internship, students will spend 2 months interning under the hero, with many more permissions than ordinary interns. Izuku receives an offer from the number 7 hero Mirako. This changes everything. Learn how to be more bold. Learning how to be more true to who he is means every interaction from this point on changes. But the delay has led to some people gaining courage, where otherwise they would be scorned. Entering a world where villains aren't just roadblocks in the story, where they are threats, true and real. Every fight is one for survival. A world where One-Eye makes an effort to soar just as far as Izuku, not content to fall behind. Izuku meets Himiko, and for the first life he is changed, and in turn, she changes his life. Helps to realize some things, namely that he might be a she. Warning, this fic has graphic descriptions of violence. This is The Jade Rabbit by Just a Finch, or Just a Fool. I am Afrogyworld-podfics. I podfic books. This will be my first, posted podfic. Thank you so much for Just a Finch, Just a Fish, Just a Fool, to give me this opportunity. The artwork is going to be the artwork that's taken straight from the podfic, so the artwork on the cover is going to be, it's not my artwork, it's another fan's work for this. So, without further ado, let's get along. One more thing before we get into this. I'm dyslexic, and also I'm a very busy person. Chapters may take a little bit of a while to get there. I will be putting the fic link in the description if YouTube lets me. So thank you so much again, and again, some words might switch around or whatnot. I am dyslexic, and sometimes I have a hard time reading things out loud. So just if you want straight from the fic and not any mistakes, I'm not your person, so click off and go read the fic on your own. Again, thank you so much to the writer for letting me read this, and now we're going. Riding the train to UA never felt quite real to Izuku. Despite taking it numerous times, both before and after being accepted, it still gave him this surreal kind of feeling. That feeling was exaggerated by his placement in the sports festival just 2 days prior. He could feel eyes on him, looking around as he could spot people quietly talking amongst themselves and looking at him. They were likely unsure of whether he was real the quarterfinalist they had seen on TV. He hunched in on himself slightly, unused to the attention he was receiving. It wasn't long before he reached his stop and rushed off the train as fast as he could. Without looking obvious, it's not that he was just embarrassed by his performance. He wasn't used to the looks. He had always been shoved into a corner by more outgoing and quirked peers. Never before had he truly had the spotlight on him, for him by this many people, and he didn't know what to do. It felt as if every moment action twitch was being judged and analyzed, and all he could do was hope that he wasn't found wanting, waiting, needing. He arrived at his classroom 7 minutes before the bell. Early. But in a class full of overachievers, nothing absurd like Ida and Yajirozu, quietly speaking, though Ida didn't seem fully invested. Shoji and Tokiyami were looking at something on Shoji's phone, and occasionally Kota assigned something to the two of them, likely giving his own opinions. Izuku took out his school things, from his bag and waited. Just as the bell rang, everyone was in their seats. Aizawa walked in. Now that the bandages were off, the class could see the scar running right across his eye, resulting from the USJ. I hope you all took yesterday and relaxed from the sports festival, he began, scanning the room for a moment before moving on. Because today, training starts again. In a month's time, you'll be getting an internship. We've changed how the internships works this year. For a number of reasons I won't get into. All you need to know is that for a rather short week, with a mentor axe to the first dip into the hero world, you will be with your mentor for much longer. Izuku's eyebrows scrunched together. An internship is normally a week after the festival. Why are they being pushed back on top of being extended? These internships will last close to 2 months, where you will essentially act as a sidekick with all the privileges and duties that comes with it. To allow a hero to better show off your skills and make better decisions, all of your training and exercises from now until internships will be posted to the HeroNet profile that we have made for each of you. This will allow heroes who are interested to gain more information about you and make more informed decisions. Any questions? The class erupted with Aizawa's noise as Aizawa finished. Seemingly expecting a wave of noise, Aizawa simply sighed and pinched his nose in exasperation. Izuku's mind turned inwards, analyzing and trying to make sense of the new information. 2 months with a hero. These weren't simple, small glimpses at a hero's system. This was likely going to be closer to a work study, if what Aizawa says about them essentially being a sidekick was right. In their training, they also were going to be recorded and given to heroes. While it made them slightly nervous, it did give him a chance to show his skills at being a hero, other than breaking his fingers repeatedly. This could be good. None of the questions asked were far things he couldn't have assumed on his own, and he couldn't think of any other that he wouldn't have been explained in time. Aizawa was just about to answer Suyu's question. His mind reminded him. It was something to the extent of costume changes and hero identity. Your costumes can be modified. Your costumes can be modified at any time by speaking with Power Loader in the supports department. Your mentor can also use their support agency to make any modifications or overhauls during your internship. As for your hero names, titles, you'll be choosing them at the end of the week. That means that you will have until then to think about them. Pick something that resonates with you. These names will likely stick, and the effort to change them after that is often more than not worth it. With Aizawa's finished, the rest of the morning announcements, all perfectly mundane compared to that the class officially started, and yet Izuku's mind wandered. Hero names, despite wanting nothing more than to be a hero, he had never truly put thought into a name. What about retaking his nickname? A hand waved in front of his face, blinking upwards in confusion face of Araka. You okay, Deku? That twinge he had always felt as the name added through immediately. Yeah, sorry, just thinking. Izuku managed to smile. Feels forced, but she doesn't seem to notice. Oh, what about our hero names? I don't really have any idea of what I want. Yeah, I got no ideas for you either. She perks up. But it doesn't really matter right now, though. We got a whole week to think about it. I'm sure we'll come up with something good. Come on, now, we're heading to lunch. Izuku, who hadn't realized the time yet, turned to the clock and blinked. That morning had floated by. Uraka already had started walking to the door a bit and giggled a bit at his dumbfounded face. I'll meet you there, she said and turned the corner. As Izuku stood up, he realized that someone was still in the room with him. Todoroki has also just caught up. I find I have the same issues as you. He looked at his left hand. I had always thought I would never use my father's fire. Now I've accepted it as mine. I find myself at a loss to how I want to proceed. Izuku smiled. We can figure something out together then. I'm sure you can help me come up with some ideas. And I'll do my best to help you. Todoroki blinked in surprise, and then his lips quirked. Not a smile, but enough for Izuku to recognize he was pleasantly surprised. I think that would help. Thank you. No problem. Besides, we're stuck together and after that match. Todoroki nodded. Would you mind if I sat at your table for lunch then? Shoji, Tokiyami, and the rest of them aren't bad company. But I'm not particularly close with any of them. Of course. We should probably get going, though, or we might not have time to eat. Izuku laughed as they began to walk and make their way to the cafeteria. Just as school was about to let out, Izuku got a text from All Might asking if they could meet. Izuku, confused, sent a short text in the affirmative, and had made a few excuses to his friends on why he wouldn't be walking out with them. Standing in front of the room All Might had told him to meet at, Izuku was a bit nervous. All Might had told him to do well during the sports festival, but he only reached quarterfinals. What if All Might expected him to do more? What if... The door opens, and a hand clapped to his shoulder lightly, breaking him from his spiral. None of that, my boy. You did well. Sorry. None of that, my boy. You did well. Don't worry about that. Izuku looked up at All Might, who, even in his skinny form, towered over him. Oh, all right. What did you want to talk to me about then? He said, as he walked into the room with All Might closing the door behind him. All Might took a moment, sitting down on the couch before Izuku sat in front of him, before responding. It's about your internships, or at least it was until they got pushed back. I was originally going to have my own mentor offered you. An old hero named... All Might seemed to shudder before thinking about him. Gran Torino. I will admit his way of teachings are a bit unique. I think you could learn a lot from him. Whoever this Gran Torino was seemed to have scarred All Might quite a bit. With the comment about teaching, Izuku assumed that it had something to do with how he was taught, and All Might wanted him to go through the same thing, but it did eventually pay off. All Might ruled over heroics. But with internships being delayed, his suggestion said that he simply teach you after school and allow your chance to intern with another hero at the end of the month. If you're willing, he's here now. A short walk to Gym Beta, and the two were standing in front of the edge of the gym. All Might gestured for Izuku to go ahead. Izuku turned back to the door, and All Might opened it. The gym seemed to be empty. Walking a bit further in, Izuku felt a gust of air on his neck before something slammed into his back. Stumbling forward for a moment on the impact, Izuku looked around, finding nothing, his shoulder shining the next target. And it sunk the bow. Once again, Izuku turned only to find nothing. Waiting for half a second, he spun around. This time he was able to see what appeared a very short old man in a bright yellow-white costume. Only for a moment, however, the old man's foot slammed into his forehead. Good thinking. It only took you 2 hits to find me. That's better than most would. Too bad it wouldn't save you from the beating I'm about to dish out. The man dashed forward, opting for full force assault. Izuku, too stunned to catch the first fist in his gut. The man had stopped this time on the gym floor. Come on, you zygote. Hit me. I'm not going to stop from pummeling you until you land a hit on me. Izuku looked right at All Might at the door, giving him... Izuku looked right at All Might in the door, giving him an apologetic look. All Might's eyes suddenly widened. A warning, only before a foot slammed into his cheek, sending him stumbling down, ready for a fight. Izuku paused for a moment and think of the slightest gust of air on his arm and ducked. He could hear the old man whiz past as his barreling was skidding on top of the floor. Good! You're learning. His face suddenly splits into a terrifying grin. That doesn't mean I have to hold back now. The old man, Izuku, who finally realized his Gran Torino, goes flying straight at him again. It's all he can do before raising his arm and trying to block the hit. Torino dashes to the left, and then to the ceiling, and then the hit to the back of his head tells him everything he needs to know. Torino is moving too fast for him to comprehend. He can't process where he is at all times. It's costing him. He tries in his eyes and open his other senses. Winds gush back, and Izuku dashes to the left, dodging the hit, another foot to his cheek. Trina won't let him feel the air before he's using that against him. Not like this, Izuku thinks to himself. I won't let myself be like this. I need to think faster, process better. I need to be able to predict his movements and subvert his expectations, all to land a hit. His eyes snap open, then glowing green. Left, right, on the ceiling. Now, behind him, he pivots, right foot outstretched suddenly. Trina's foot slams into his palm. Only for a few seconds away, Izuku can pinpoint the moment. Trina's eyes widen as he realizes something has changed. It's only a moment, though. As quick as it began to end, a blast of air in his hand, making him stumble back. Trino darting around something, having got faster, Izuku's trouble. Steve, keep up. More. His vision snaps, clarifying. The shadows gone, nearly in the building, are no longer a safe spot for Torino to hide. He sees the second Torino decides to attack the least point and stumble. He begins to swing his arm. Torino's eyes widen, hitting what's come from, but it's too late to change. Torino's foot lands on Izuku's chest, but fist lands on Torino's. The two stagger backwards and hit. Finally, Torino stops. The two stare at each other for a moment before Torino grins and lets out a maniacal laugh. That was fantastic, kid. I thought for sure you were going to take longer than that, but it only took you 2 minutes, and you got me already. Damn good reaction in combat and analysis to figure out my pattern that quick. He let out a breath, seemingly before calm down. You picked a damn good kid, Toshinori. Torino turns to look down All Might before waiting by Adore, a heroic spirit with a top mark for of that. A damn fine choice. He turns back to Izuku. Before walking forward. Name's Gran Torino. Nice to meet you, kid. Alrighty, so that was the end of chapter 1. I'm gonna say I love this series so much, but also if my mic quality changes, I have 2 different mics. I have like one of the mics that like you have at like a computer, and it's and then I have one of the ones that like you clip onto your shirt. I'm currently using that one, and I like move around a lot and like fidget, and my hand kept bumping into it because it has like one of those little fluffy covers on it, and so my hand kept on like petting it or like bumping into it. So yeah, sorry about that. Holy shit, this video's like a while. Yeah. But, Afrogyworld-podfics, yeah. Thank you again to Just a Finch, if you're listening to this, for letting me read your book. This is such a great, like, I'm so happy to be reading this, because this is literally one of my favorite fics. But yeah, I'm probably gonna have this project go on. This book's like almost 100,000 words or something. It's kind of insane. It's 200,000 words, and yeah, so yeah, that's fun. But it's such a fun book to read, and I'm definitely sporadic when I post, so you know, if you feel like just I'm getting too slow for your taste, go read it on your own, because I don't want you guys to wait for me. But this is such an amazing book, and thank you all so much for joining me and listening with me. And thank you again to Just a Finch, and yeah, I hope you all have an amazing day, night, whatever. And if you hear background noise, I have like a fan going on, and then also I'm doing this as like people are home and like walking around. I also wear a bunch of bracelets, and they jingle, And yeah. But yeah, thank you so much again. Have a great night, day, whatever time it is. Have a good one, and have a good tomorrow as well.